Don't move, the bunny gets it. The bunny back in the box. It's dead. Rose exit. You leave through the back door. Nearby is the transformer, which distributes electricity from the underground generator powered by the river flowing beneath your house. The transformer was struck by lightning, though, and it no longer works. You wonder if your mother has any plans to have it fixed. You guess she'd rather just play her mind games in a dark house like a weirdo. You can see the mausoleum and the portable generator across your backyard. You're almost there. Rose, use umbrella. You regather your items and begin the soggy trek mausoleum-ward. Sound, get up, John. There's no time for slumber. Strife again. Okay, he's done. Rose, forget the W and make haste to the mausoleum. Retrieving the W never even crossed your mind. It's just a stupid magnet. Sound, John, salvage your weapon and fight on. Strife again. Wrong button, I'm sorry. Specific order with this must be picked up. The purple stuff is shale. Okay. You said put the bunny back in the box. Now why couldn't he put the bunny back in the box? Now exult. Victory. Spoils are yours. Wow. He's a plucky tot as opposed to a juve squirt or a green tyke. His gel viscosity and cash limit went up. The amazing victory allows you to scale the first 2 achievement rungs of your ladder. Sure. Rewards to your bold ascent. The Etch ladder rewards your bold ascent with 125 boon dollars. You waste little time in storing them in your ceramic pork hollow. Additionally, climbing the rungs has boosted your gel viscosity and cash limit. By expanding your cash limit, you've made room for all that nice grist you just collected. You now have 32 fragments of build grist and 10 fragments of shale. What about that card? It seems the shale imp had allocated the bunny to its striped specubus. Sort of a stupid thing to use for a weapon, but you might as well grab it and stick the bunny in your strife deck while you're at it. It will, at the very least, be safer there. Okay. His hammer is broken into handle kind. You group the 2 specubi in your strife portfolio. No self-respecting strifer would be caught dead without one. Gather the scattered bits of your large hammer. Oddly enough, it seems breaking the sledgehammer altered the abstratus from hammer kind to handle kind, even going as far as expelling the head of your smaller hammer from the deck to force compliance. You didn't even notice it in the heat of battle. You grab the sledgehammer handle, expelling the useless harlequin figurine. Now repair the hammer. You merge the sledgehammer head with its handle and return it to your strife deck, repairing the hammer kind abstratus in the process. The smaller hammer handle is ejected from the desk since, of course, handles of any sort no longer belong there, obviously. Fine, now what? Dave is pestering you, but you don't have time to deal with his nonsense right now. Something is amiss in your room. You can't quite put your finger on it. Rose, hurry and activate the generator. You fire up the generator and drag a cord into the mausoleum. It of course would be foolish to run the generator inside a confined space. Generator safety is everyone's business. Rose, defile tomb. Sorry, Jaspers, have to make space for the laptop. Besides, your final resting place is already a mockery. You should have decomposed years ago under a bed of petunias like a normal cat, not given to a taxidermist and fitted with a tiny custom-tailored suit and then stuffed into a coffin built for infants. Rose, plug in your laptop. You plug in your laptop and connect to the internet signal again. Everything predictably... Hello? Okay. Everything predictably falls out of your Skilledex. You're not about to get bent out of shape about it. You have bigger fish to fry. Looks like Dave noticed you're back online. He pesters you like clockwork. 1 second, my door's being broken down. Okay, it's just you. I'm sorry I'm recording. Just the cat. And there's John. What on earth is he up to now? The door, John. Look at the door. You're right. Didn't Rose yank the door off its hinges and prop it on your bed? Someone or something has put it back and left it slightly ajar. Incredibly alarming. Investigate. Hoo, 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 hoo. Sound. What? This is so outrageous. Thanks, Grandma. Rose, pester John. Did I read that? Yeah, okay. Dave says, oh, there you are. John said your house was burning down. Are you on fire yet or what? And Rose says, no, for now I've retired to the safety of a smaller building, which is much closer to the forest fire threatening my residence. And Dave says, oh, well, that's a relief. John told me to get the game to help you out of there, so I'm working on that. She says, working on it? And Dave says, yeah, my bros copy, long story. Hey, don't tell John this, but I think he might have been right about the puppets. They're sort of starting to freak me out a little. And Rose says, you're referring to your brother's collection? And he says, I mean, don't get me wrong, I think it's cool and all. The semi-ironic puppet thing or whatever. The semi-ironic. Man, I don't even know. I'm starting to think some of this crap is going a little far, and it is kind of fricked up. Rose says, I've seen his websites. I like them. And Dave says, haha, yeah, well, you would. Oh man, I wish Lil Cal wouldn't look at me like that, with those dead eyes. Goodness. Sometimes I dream that he's real and he's talking to me. And I wake up in a cold sweat and basically flip the frick out. And Rose says, interesting. And Dave says, oh gosh, why did I just tell you my dream? You're gonna have a field day with that. And Rose says, I am currently scrawling notes furiously into one of the many psychoanalysis journals I maintain for you. Published papers forthcoming. Because, it's not like either of us have anything better to do at the moment than evaluate each other's radically debilitating pathologies. Dave says, yeah, I'm gonna get moving. Oh, have you heard from John? He's not answering me. Rose says, he won't answer me either, but I am watching him. I suspect he is preoccupied with the fact he has just had a bucket of water dumped on his head by the ghost of his dead grandmother, who also happens to be dressed like a clown. And Dave says, ha 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 ha. Alright, I'm out. Later. Interrogate this mad woman. John says, Nana? And Nana Sprite says, yes, dear. And he says, wow, you scared the living daylights out of me. And she says, hoo hoo hoo. And John says, well, I guess it was a really great prank. Good one, Nana. Anyway, are you really my dead Nana? And she says, of course, John. I have come back to help you on your journey through the medium and beyond. I am delighted to see what a fine young man you have turned out to be, just like your father. And John says, okay, I guess I'll take your word for it. I don't remember you at all. My dad says I was really young when you died. Hey, speaking of which, do you know where he is? I looked everywhere for him. He's busy. Your father was kidnapped. And John says, oh no. When you crossed over to the medium, he was apprehended by the very forces of darkness which your presence here has awakened. John says, what? Okay, so what is the medium you're talking about? It is where we are now, a realm that is a ring of pure void, dividing light and darkness. It turns into the thick of the Insifisphere, a place touched by the flow of time in your universe. John says, you mean because we're inside a computer or the game software or something? A computer? Why, what is that, dear? Some newfangled contraption like the horseless auto boxcar? John says, well, it's like a machine that, She says, hoo hoo hoo, of course I know what a computer is, John. I was just pulling your leg, hoo hoo hoo. John says, oh, okay. And she says, no, John, you're not inside a computer or software or anything like that. Try not to be so linear, dear. The software that brought you here was merely a mechanism that served as a gateway. Its routines, in a way, serve to invoke this realm's instance, yet it stands independently of any physical machine, and somewhat paradoxically always has. John says, I'm not sure I get it, but alright. So what do I actually need to be doing here? And she says, I think it would be best if we started with the big picture. Sound, go on. Above the medium, beyond the 7 gates, residing at the core of the Insphere, is a place known as Skaya. Legend holds it that Skaya exists as a dormant crucible of unlimited creative potential. What does this mean, you ask? I'm afraid my lips are sealed about that, dear. Hoo-hoo. But needless to say, where a realm of such profound importance is concerned, forces of light will forever be charged with its defense, while forces of darkness will just as persistently covet its destruction. And as it so happens, at the very center of this realm, whose fate is in question, these forces duel on a stage stuck in an eternal stalemate. Yes, they have dueled in this manner forever. That is, until you showed up. Me? Me? Yes, you, John. Before your mishap with my ashes, you may recall the sprite's previous incarnation, which resulted from its kernel's hatching. You see, this hatching occurs automatically in response to your arrival. The result is a pair of kernels, one dark, one light, each carrying the information they were prototyped with before the hatch. One goes down to a kingdom entrenched in darkness, the other up to a kingdom basking in light. Each comes to rest in an orb atop a spire, of which there are 3 others in kind. The 4 spires are situated above a throne, and these 2 thrones preside over the 2 respective sovereign powers. And once the kernels are situated, that is, when the game is afoot, the true war begins. Light versus dark, good versus evil. This is a war that the forces of light are always destined to lose, without exception. A quest of futility, then. John says, wow, really? Then what's the point? She says, that remains for you to find out, dear. For you see, the journey you are about to take is the ultimate riddle. And John goes, whoa! For now, your objective is to proceed towards Skya and pass through the first gate situated directly above your house, not even terribly far. The gates will become progressively more difficult to reach, so you'd better be prepared to sharpen your adventuring skills. John says, how am I supposed to get up there? And she says, you build! Ugh. Next exclamation point. John says, okay, I think I get it now. So I guess the battle against good and evil is sort of irrelevant? Well, I don't know, that all sounds kind of weird, but in any case, we build the house to get these gates, and then I can save my dad. And Anna Sprite says, yes, John. He says, and after that, we solve this ultimate riddle thing and save the Earth from destruction. And she says, oh, no, I'm afraid not. Next question mark. And she says, your planet is done for, dear. There's nothing you can do about that. John says, oh, your purpose is so much more important than saving that silly old planet, though. John says, and that is? And she goes, ho, 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 ho. Yes, I will have to agree with the float hag about that. John, you are such a good boy. I know you will succeed. And he says, thanks, Nana. She says, you are a good boy, and good boys deserve treats. And John says, hooray. And she says, I'm going to bake you some cookies. And he says, ... The hag mentioned cookies pursue her. Oh gosh dang it, that's just what you need, more baked goods. John, you do not say no to cookies. I command you go get them. You totally abjure the heck out of that idea. You're so busy abjuring, you don't even notice Rose has been trying to pester you this whole time. Rose, hit John in the head with the box to get his attention. You give John a swift drubbing in the noggin, but he is undeterred. That is some fit he is throwing. Perhaps you will take this spare moment to contemplate the Nana Sprite's strange tale. It may also behoove you to record your thoughts on these developments in your Game FAQs walkthrough/journal. It can be hard finding time to update it. In fact, you're not even sure where you found the time to write what's already there. Oh, is that so, Jaspers? And just what do you think you're looking at? Just who do you think you're looking at with that smug grin? The last thing you need is sass from a dead cat. It's pretty much all his fault that you're in this mess in the first place, so he can just button it. John, cookies, now. You refuse outright. This impudence is insufferable. Go get the cookies. Well, when you put it so politely, how can John decline? John, you are stupid. You really need to work on your manners. Stupid, stupid, dumb. That's not a command. It's nothing. It's stupid. You're stupid. For the last time, I command you to get the cookies, boy. It's just not going to happen, buddy. Years in the future, but not really enough to write home about. An agitated finger slips mid-keystroke. Beans and mustard, and human etiquette. 100. The long and short. The medium, too. Ha ha ha. I may have been a bit hasty in advising you not to bother with the prototyping process. If I spared any detail, it was only to optimize your chances of survival. And if you find yourself begrudging the absence of certain instructions, which if followed would have resulted in your demise, then I guess that makes two of us. Otherwise, you're welcome. But the fact appears to be that prototyping the kernel sprite before making your getaway may offer the only opportunity to exercise control over your new environment, a place known as the medium. Also, if prototyped with one or two sufficiently, albeit loosely, humanoid and or sentient elements, living or otherwise, it offers the chance to have all this explained to you by an additional guide through whatever sort of cryptic, sketchy doublespeak your choice of prototyping elements engenders. In lieu of this, you may be forced to settle for my clear, thorough explanations and assiduous dissection of raw data. Dissection. Again, don't mention it. If you have made it to the medium with an unmolested vanilla sprite, well, I've already covered the bad news about this missed opportunity, and I will go into this further soon. Though to what extent this is actually bad news, I'm not sure. I know only the result of my co-player's current configuration, wherein the sprite was prototyped once before the departure and once after. Which brings us to the good news, which is you can still prototype after your departure and salvage this massively rewarding experience of haggling with an exposition-slinging phantom guide, so long as you avoid prototyping with terribly inert items, such as a brass door knocker and your father's pornography collection. Actually, that might be interesting. If you're struck by the spirit of such experimentation, please don't hesitate to contact me about it. So yes, you can enhance your sprite in this way, but doing so after your departure will no longer induce this effect on the medium I alluded to, that can only be accomplished with one or more pre-departure prototypings. In fact, we can extrapolate there are only so many ways to prototype a sprite. Tiers of prototyping in relation to departure: both before, one after, both after, only one, either before or after, none. Those occurring before will affect the medium through the kernel's hatching process, and your guide, i.e. the sprite. Those occurring after will only affect the sprite. The effects this process has on the medium, or more globally, the infosphere, are still vague to me. They have to do with flavoring the forces you will struggle against, and generally, all forces at odds with each other in this realm. It has given me some insight into the nature of the game, which I again derive through extrapolation. We appear to be engaging an instance of a dimension with a highly flexible set of parameters and a series of objectives surrounding an equally flexible mythological framework. This framework seems to begin as a sort of blank template and evolves with the player's actions, and likely further evolves with the addition of more host/client connections, and thus more prototyped kernels. I regret to say I can't be much more specific than that without loosely extrapolating further. There are plenty of questions that have occurred to me, however. Questions concerning the kernel sprite, which I've raised implicitly already, such as what is the effect of an unprototyped kernel on the medium, or a doubly prototyped kernel for that matter. And even more salient are the questions about this dimension itself. Do all players worldwide make it into this dimension if they succeed to complete their departure? Or is it a unique blank instance of the dimension created for each new player? I have no evidence, but instinct tells me it is closer to the latter situation. There is no indication of any other players present in this realm. Alterations in the realm seems singularly centered on the actions of my co-player and myself. If I had to stake anything on it, I would guess every separate client-server pair activates its own fresh copy of an insosphere. It's missing the I there. Or a unique session, if you will. But the quantity of players is a further complication, which invites more questions. It seems the game was designed to suit two players most naturally, the server and the client. But through a mishap, my co-player and I have slipped out of the obvious tandem arrangement, and the only logical course of action to continue playing is to string a daisy chain of server-client connections together until presumably the chain is complete. Theoretically, we could complete this chain with only one other player, functioning as the server to my client, and the client to my current co-player's server, assuming he can recover it. The strange thing is, though, in our instance of this dimension, there are 4 receptacles for divided kernels, not 3. Does this mean we are destined to have a 4-player chain? How could the game know such a thing? Perhaps it does, and if this proves to be the case, I trust I will be sufficiently numbed to the realization. And then she crossed this bit out. I can consider nothing of this game surprising at this point, and in fact, from the first moments of play, it managed to deviate so far from my expectations that I completely forgot what my original purpose with it was. I had chances to test some information I obtained on good authority during the prototyping phase, but it completely slipped my mind. Instead, the game's catacombs securing the dark twisting paths to necromancy were blundered into, rather on accident. Perhaps you don't need to know any of this. And then unstriked out. Rethink organization. Lead may be waist deep in Loric sludge. Trim down. Bleh. She's not finished with this yet. Geez, cut her some slack. Maybe you could go bug someone else for a while, or at the very least, someone else? Months in the past, but not many. Green says, "Hi, happy birthday, Rose." Rose says, "Hello and thanks. Did you get John's present yet?" "I just opened it, this very moment. What a stunning coincidence you would ask about it now. I am stunned." And she says, "Yeah, I know. What will you make with it?" Rose says, "And who said it was something from which something else could be made?" And Green says, "Well, John did tell me what it was, duh." And she says, "I suppose I'll take a stab at learning the craft. It's the least I can do in response to the subtle dig concealed in his gesture. He often tells me I need a new hobby when I make perfectly reasonable analytical remarks." Green says, "Oh, but Rose, I don't think he meant anything like that by it. You see, not everybody always means the opposite of what they say, the way you and Dave always do." She says, "Maybe. His birthday is in a few months, isn't it?" And Green says, "Yep. I've finally finished working on a present for him. I've been working on it for years." Rose says, "Years? It's so hard to tell when you're joking, or if you're even capable of it." And Green says, "Hee hee hee, smiley face. I just mailed it too, so it is sure to get there on time. Mail takes a while to get anywhere from here." Rose says, "I'll probably craft something with strong sentimental value. That should burn him." And Green says, "I don't think you really mean that." And Rose says, "I guess not. So shall I expect a green package dropped to my house via airmail, or from whatever screwball cranny of the globe you're tucked into?" And Green says, No, sad face. Sorry, but you are sort of hard shop for." Face looking to the left. "Besides, I have something for you today that I think you will like better than something in a box." And Rose says, "Oh?" And she says, "It's a tip." Rose says, "This is already intriguing enough to compensate for the grave scarcity of lavish gifts parachuting from the sky. Please go on. Green says, did you have a pet a long time ago that died? And Rose says, yes. And Green says, okay, well, how did you feel about your cat? Did you love him a lot? And Rose says, okay, well, I didn't mention it was a cat or that it was a male. Let's pretend I'm surprised and that you're embarrassed and move on. To answer your question, I would describe my feeling towards the animal as lukewarm. Green says, okay, that's fine. It doesn't really matter, I think. Just, what if someone told him you could play a game that would bring him back to life? Rose says, if someone told me that, I would regard the remark with a great deal of skepticism. If that someone was you, on the other hand, then I would have to ask preemptively, is that someone you? And Green says, yes, that someone is me. I just thought you might find it interesting. And Rose says, so what is this game? And Green says, oh, I don't know. I'm just saying is all. I think you'll hear about it later, and maybe you can talk to John and Dave about it. They're way more into all that stuff than I am. And Rose says, I'll see what the word on the street is about in due time. For now, I should probably order a copy of Knitting for Buttholes. It would be a shame if I ran late with John's present. Dave, get katana. You capture log your katana, 2121219% of 10 is 9, and prepare to venture out into the apartment to retrieve your bro's copy of the game. But first, maybe, just maybe, sound Dave, retrieve dead bird. Dude, that bird is long gone. It probably wouldn't last long in this heat anyway. But you don't even know what's up with this sick heat. The sun threatens to set but won't step off. It's staring you down like the big red eye of a hot needle skipping on a groove it's tracing round the earth. While lingering in midair, its heat seems to suspend time itself, stretching it like warped vinyl. It's meant to rain this season, but there ain't been a drop in sight. Even a little drizzle would help. Might help to fizzle this sizzle a little bizzle. Set the record straight on this global turn-tizzle. Gringo. So don't change the dizzle, turn it up a little. I've got a living room full of fine dime brizzles waiting on the the pizzle, the dizzle, and the shizzle. G's to the bizak. Now, ladies, here we gizzo. When the pimps in the crowd might drop it like it's hot, drop it like it's hot, drop it like it's hot. English romantic poet John Keats. Dave, exit your room and go into the living room. Sorry, little dude, coming through. Gotta put you down for a bit. You figure you left him hanging long enough. Dave hastily enters the room with wild abandon. You barge in and see a familiar face. A friendly face. You stand in the living room. Your bro spends most of his days in here. At night he crashes on the futon over there. You don't see him anywhere though. There's the puppet chest he stores little Cal in when he takes him out on gigs. But when he's home, he usually leaves Cal on display somewhere. And with good reason, because Cal is totally sweet. So sweet. Man. Dave pitied the fool. It is your brother's Mr. T puppet, which of course he is kept in the apartment with a sense of profound humorous irony, or something close to a pedestrian tier 1 iconic gesture, which is a meager single step removed from sincerity. This is like 10 levels of irony removed from the original joke. It might have been funny like 8 years ago to joke about Mr. T and how he was sort of lame, but that was the very thing that made him awesome and radical, and that his awesomeness was also sort of the joke. But in this case, the joke is the joke, and that degree of irony itself is also the joke, and so on. Only highly adept satirical ninjas like you and your bro can appreciate stuff like this. It's cool taking stuff that other people think is funny, but you know really isn't, and making it funny again by adding a subtle strata of irony, which are utterly undetectable to the untrained eye. Also, for good measure, Mr. T is wearing a leather thong and handcuffed to a pantsless Chuck Norris puppet. Gosh, you hope you can be as good as your bro at this someday. You'd never tell him that, though. Dave, find little Cal and give fist bumps. Cal's nowhere in sight. All you see is a bunch of your bro's weird nude puppets strewn around haphazardly. You guess these things are kinda cool. Sort of. Dave, play a game on the Xbox. It looks like your bro was playing. It's not like him to leave in the middle of some totally intense gaming. Not like him to misplace Cal either. Man, you hope the little guy's alright. Oh, there you are, dude. Didn't see you there. Be chill today, Cal. We be chill today, Cal? Yeah, you better freaking believe we be chill. Cal is the man. Dave, resist great urge to play bro's Xbox. You fail to resist the urge. You start thrashing up stunts, something uncanny brutal, on your quest, just one, for mad snacks, yo, and get this way rude hunger under control. Crap is basically flying off the hook. It's like crap wants nothing to do with that hook. That hook is dead to that crap. But you get stuck in some poorly modeled 3D fixture or something, like a railing or a piece of the wall, you'll have to reset. Frick this crap. Dave, give Lil Cal a bro fist bump. Bump. Aw, man, you almost forgot. Gotta give the C-Man some props. Dave, check out your bro's sweet gear. Your bro has so much sweet gear, it's hard to keep up with it all sometimes. Here's his computer setup. He's usually got a lot of stuff cooking on here at any given moment. Since he's not around, you might as well sneak a peep. Dave, look at your brother's computer. Heck no. Your bro's computer is password protected, of course, to protect all the incredible top secret crap he's got on the burners. Of course you know what the password is, and he knows you know it, and you're both cool with that, because the password is the most awesome thing it can be. You enter the password on the desktop. On the desktop is a hodgepodge of unnamed folders to store all the stuff he's working on. No one can decipher his organization system but him. He also tends to use the application Complete Bullcrap to keep up with the ludicrous amount of websites and news feeds he monitors to stay hip on the scene. 1 second. Dave, open open Complete Bullcrap. Beautiful. This is Complete Bullcrap. Dave, check if Sweet Bro and Hecka Jeff has a sweet update. Your bro keeps up with your projects in his aggregator just like you keep up with his. He's tuned into your various blogs and of course Sweet Bro and Hecka Jeff. You navigate to the latest comic in one of the many bullcrap feed bands. And it's not worth it, so I'm not going to click on it. Dave, mouse over the orange strip containing plush rump. Puppets, puppets, puppets. Puppet cams. Go on the free tour. For all the fluffy, fuzzy, fluffy, frolicsome fun you can stomach and more. Ugh. Soft butt joined hashtag plush rump. Foam fiend says hi soft butt / quivers foam proboscis at soft butt. Limp legs akimbo says bet there's a lot to give of that butt. And soft butt says bounce a coin off it. It not going anywhere. Foam fiend says yeah bet that'll coin'll take a good nap in there. Another one of your bro's mini iconic website. So the difference here is that he rakes in thousands of dollars a month through this enterprise. Smuppets are a multi-billion-dollar a year enterprise, and it's awfully hard to resist taking a firm squeeze from the plump udder of that cash cow. Dave, stop wasting time and look for bro's beta. You guess you've messed around on his computer long enough. Better get a move on before it's too late for Rose, or worse yet, your bro catches you. But my gosh, the rumps, they are transfixing. You know this is ironic and all, and your bro reaches echelons of irony you could only dream of daring to fathom, but on rare occasions, when your guard is down, it all seems just a tad unsettling to you. Oh, hey there, Cal. Dave, give Lil Cal a nervous fist bump. Can't do it. You're sort of starting to freak the flip out, without losing your cool, of course. Dave pestered John to ease your nerves. You get Egbert on the line again to give him the lowdown on your progress. You feel it's important to keep the wires hot, but he's not answering. You wonder what that guy is up to. Dave says, hey, what is up? What happened with the monster? That is totally, definitely in the room. Did you kill it? Where are you, man? Anyway, things are cool here. Totally cool. Puppets are still awesome. No problem with them or anything. Like, just really, really awesome. Looks like Rose is finally logged in again. Didn't John say her house was burning down? You wonder if she's on fire yet or what. Dave, pester Rose. Same chat as before. Seconds in the future, but not many. Rose says, John, what are you doing? Snap out of it. We ought to discuss what your grandmother told you, don't you think? Fine, enjoy your stupor. I'll go about my business elsewhere. Rose, deploy the punch Designix. John, whenever you read this, you should know I put the shale you collected to use and finally deployed the punch Designix. It is in your study. I can only drop it though. You'll have to be the one to mess around with it and see what it does. When you're finished with your weird Hysteronics, maybe you could give it a try. I'm updating my walkthrough, and it would help to know what it does. She says, also, I should probably warn you that your house and yard are completely infested with monsters now. Try to be careful. John says, so I can see. Stupid, lousy imps. They're mucking up all my cool stuff. Rose says, oh, there you are. And he says, oh, yeah, sorry. I'm not sure what came over me there. I was acting really crazy for some reason. But my head feels like it's clearing up. I think I'm all right now. John, rebuild the claw hammer and return it to Specubus. You're getting way better at this sort of thing. John, confront Pogo Ride to prepare yourself for Nana. Thank gosh your sanity has returned so you can entertain extremely rational, coherent thoughts like this one. You examine the Pogo Ride from your bathroom window. You do not like what you see. Sound. Those terrible little men. No one risks painful injury on your green slime ghost Pogo Ride. Oops, no one but you. Okay, I'm supposed to be doing something, I think, but you never know. couldn't click on the controls after I'd already activated it. Use the arrow keys to operate the pogo ride for insane combos. I don't think I can do that. I have the arrow keys set to navigate the pages. I'll turn it off real quick. Nope. Okay. Rose, drop something heavy on one of those imps. I'm sure it was very funny. I'm so sorry. John says, Rose, my piano. Big sad face. She says, sorry. No nuance to these controls at all. I was hoping to bludgeon that imp without letting go of it. Guess I can't really do that. A broken piano isn't the end of the world, though. And he says, I guess you're right. She says, you'll need to pick up the spoils in person. I can't interact with the grist. And he says, so that means I have to go out the back door? And she says, yes, is that a problem? He says, well, it may sound dumb, but I was hoping to avoid Nana and her spooky ghost cookies. She says, you're right, that does sound dumb. And he says, can you see her in the kitchen? And she says, yeah. And he says, what's she doing? Is she baking? And she says, you could say that. And he said, are you sure you can't get that grist up to me somehow? And Rose says, maybe. Rose, use pogo ride to fling grist through window. Doesn't look like the grist is going anywhere. You just never know with these gaming abstractions. Rose, drop pogo ride in John's bathroom. John, get grist. Rose says, there you go. Now why don't you check out the Designix? What can you do? You can do that while I get to work. And John says, on what? Piano. Level up for slaying the imp. The piano in its valiant effort has unfortunately been slain. But if it hadn't, it would have raked in so many boon dollars you have no idea. So many. Rose, it's time to build. Rose says, Nana said to build, so that's what I'm doing. John says, oh yeah, okay. And Rose says, but this sure is going to take a lot of grist. That staircase brought them from 38 to 20. She says, looks like you're gonna be busy, John. And John says, blah. Well, what are you building? And she says, stairs. They're fairly expensive, actually. John says, oh man, I could have warned you about the stairs, Rose. She regained 6 grist from deleting what was already there. Rose says, I'll try recouping some of the grist from the catwalk I built earlier. And John says, it keeps happening. And Rose says, ah, good. Looks like I can get a refund for earlier allocations. And John says, I told you, Rose. I told you about the stairs. And she says, okay, consider me fully briefed on the matter of stairs. Now, if you don't mind, it's hard enough to concentrate on this without immersing ourselves in Strider's non sequitur. John says, do you know he thinks puppets are cool? And Rose says, does he? And John says, he's so dumb. Rose, use build grist to construct observation tower on roof. Okay, you obviously don't have enough grist yet for something that ambitious, but you can get started with something of a foundation for upward construction at least, which brings them down to 1 grist. John, check cabinets for imps or useful items. No imps in here, just a lot of shaving cream. Dads love shaving. It's basically all they do when they're not baking, that is. John, bring 2 cans of shaving cream. You capture like 2 cans of shaving cream just in case. You never know when you'll need to bust out a hilarious shaving cream Santa beard to ratchet up your prankster's gambit. Your telescope goes flying out the window. John, ride pogo ride. It's just a little cramped in here for any sort of proper, reckless pogoing. You'll just grab it and hang on to it until the right moment presents itself. The towel floats back down on the rack. The circle of stupidity is complete. Rose, check up on Nana Quinn. See what she's cooking. Oh no. John, make your way to the study. Oh. It looks like the imps have taken a shining to the Crooksstruder. Crooksite and black goo. Everywhere. John, ride Slimer Pogo and one-up that imp. Well, okay, it's not a Slimer Pogo, but you mount it anyway and brandish your deadly armaments. John, ride your steed to victory. This is incredibly dangerous. John, flip the frick out. Let's see how they like the old double barrel leather blaster. Whoops, oh crap. Mr. John, respectfully ask that you please stand up. Dumb over, the pogo gets it. Now, sir boy, period, comma, flee from this boorish rabble post haste. Nice absconds, dude. Refrigerator, level up for slaying the imp. The refrigerator skyrockets up the ladder to a new rung, 5-star General Electric, and earns 285 boon dollars. Things are really looking up for this feisty appliance. Well done, John. Polite congratulations. For some reason, you feel a sense of positive reinforcement. Wherever that feeling is coming from, it sure is a welcome change from your erratic moods earlier. Now, my civil fellow, I have a well-mannered query to ask. Rose says, I blocked the entrance to the study to give you some space to work with the Designics. John, imp's behind you. Should I take care of it? You trapped your PDA again, didn't you? Why did you have to pick up all that stupid shaving cream? So pointless. Rose, drop something heavy on one of those imps. John, might I bother you for a can opener? Oh no, it's the unabridged version. Oblivious to the commotion behind you, you suddenly find yourself pondering the whereabouts of a can opener. You think there's probably one in the kitchen, but the path is blocked by your refrigerator. John is completely unresponsive. What the heck is that nincompoop doing? Years in the future. But let's not get totally carried away here. A studious eye darts about a page like a honeybee gathering the nectar of wisdom. Typical human. Please, thank you. You are welcome. Good day. How do you do? Splendid. And you? Equals gratification. And then leads to further courtesy. Favor is mutually curried. He rips the page out and eats it. Elixir, known as tea. Absurd. Vestigia? Probably says another letter that I don't know. 4th digit is candleverged. Everyone is polite. Each set of 2, of course. Z301, Appendix 3, Screen Captures, Part 1. I can't take as many as I'd like for comprehensive documentation. For what it's worth, here's what I've managed to collect so far. More captures forthcoming. Co-player John assesses environment after transition to medium, followed by sprite, sans kernel, prototype once pre-hatch, completely useless in this form. Severed from suburban grid, house remains mysteriously powered. Convenience presumably facilitated by game which perhaps deems navigating a powerless house to be a handicap, less in keeping with spirit of game's principal statement of challenge. Internet connection remains stable as well, will likely remain stable until the internet itself is compromised by some external threat, something like, let's say hackers. Kill monsters, get grist, build on the house, that's the game. Didn't know what the point of this was at the time. Floundering trial and error on exhibit. Unsuccessful attempt at Tier 2 prototyping. Knowing what I know now, I might have avoided using a backbreaking Vade mecham for practical jokesters rife with antiquated lexicon and racist aphorisms. Either that, or I might have tried harder to succeed. Final screen capture before I lost my internet signal for a time. I don't know what happened thereafter, but when I returned, the car was nowhere to be found, and the driveway plateau was in a state of disrepair. The mysteries, will they ever cease? Sprite prototype once more with grandmother's remains. She treats John to some helpful exposition in a friendly, maternal, grandmaternal manner. Co-player has displayed inexplicably capricious behavior since arrival. Stress-related? Contracted virus indigenous to realm? It should be noted he was kind of a weird guy anyway. Designix deployed. Still no clue what this does. At mercy of co-players' foolish prioritization tendencies. Grist payload from a slain foe. Whether I deal the damage or the co-player does, yield is the same. Though I have a significant advantage in battle, taking measures into my own hand deprives John of hand-to-hand combat experience, which inestably will become more critical later. Building. The point. Building upward. The point. Sharpened and directed. Steeds, what steeds? Has the whirlwind a home in your mains? Is there a sensitive ear alert as a flame in your every fiber? Hearing the familiar song from above, all in one accord, you strain your bronze chests and hooves barely touching the ground, turn into straight lines cleaving the air, and all inspired by God it rushes on. Yeah, I have no idea what the frick he's doing here. Another one of these things. Really, Egbert family? Really? She name-dropped him. A view of his kidnapped father's room. I can't see in here for some reason. Perhaps this is because John himself has never entered the room. It is possible that I can see only, in a sense, what John can see or has seen already. I have not found the time to discuss this with him yet. If he enters this room, the question may answer itself. Rose, construct loft above John's room. Each one of those takes 10 grist. And now they have 15 left. And now they have none. Rose says, ladders seem to be a bit cheaper than stairs. Follow, John. It appears we have reached an impasse. Fellow John. Yes, it seems so. The opener dilemma remains unsettled, most unfortunately. It is unfortunate, I guess. What were we talking about again? But it has been a pleasure, nonetheless. Thanks for the courtesy. It's not really necessary, but thanks anyway. Oh, but thank you. Okay. Thank you so very much, dear, favorable, small primate. I shall take my leave now, John. Until next time. Wait, where did all this sweet loot come from? And why is there suddenly a crumpled hat on your head?